What's up, guys? We're back in the High Stakes Deals podcast studio, and here's my co-host,
Greg Foster,
Greg
aka
Foster.
Clooney. I can't live that one down, or I can't live up to it. I don't know.
So
Either
for those
way.
of you that don't know, the High Stakes Deals podcast, our whole thing is to talk about doing high stakes deals, people who are making big things happen, going out there, making a splash, whether it's in the business world, marketing, real estate, etc. And we appreciate you guys tuning in every week. We're gonna drop some bombs today. Just Clooney and I. We're gonna talk about a few things, and excited to jump in. Let's go.
Well. Where are you taking this magic carpet ride today, Brandon?
A few different places we could take it. No, well, listen, let's talk about, so we just got back from a trip to Houston.
Yeah.
And we were over there basically shadowing or being mentored by a guy that owns almost 5,000 apartment units. His name's Robert Martinez with a company called Rockstar Capital. Definitely one of the bigger players. I assume the biggest player in Houston.
Yeah.
Yep. And this guy is a force, let me tell you. You go into his office and it's like great team members.
Yeah.
Everyone's drank the Kool-Aid on their company culture. Fantastic salt of the earth type people. Couldn't have been more of a quintessential Texas welcoming, right?
It
Like
really
what
was.
Texas hospitality, what I was expecting.
Yeah.
So
It was the first thing I was taken back, or it was a really good thing, was the team vibe. Like when you walk into Robert's office, it's a nice office, like any office would be, but his group, his team, and I'll give a shout out to Alex and Ashley and Jason of Robert Martinez's team. They were fantastic. They were so welcoming, and the vibe was there. I can only say that the vibe was there and the synergy was there amongst Robert's team.
I'll give you guys a quick, just a side thing. So I was at, I won't say the place, but I was at a restaurant here in LA just like a week ago, and I was with my kids. We were just having some food, and there was a server that was helping us, and then there were other servers walking around. Well, we needed something, Kiara's spilling stuff everywhere and just creating mayhem per usual. And I had asked the server, like, hey, I was like, hey, excuse me, can you come help me with something? It wasn't like I was snapping my finger, being some rude, dick about it. And he was so dismissive. He just kind of looked at me and blew me off, like, like you're not my client. Like, I'm not serving your table. Don't talk to me. Yeah. And then he finally gets the lady, and he's just kind of like, I don't know, it was just kind of really rubbed me the wrong way. And I guess, by the way, I ended up having some words with them before I left, but Morgan hates when I do that stuff. She's like, will you just bite your, and I'm like, no, dude, I'm 37. I'm sorry. Like, in my 20s, I let people walk over me.
You're so old, Brandon.
Well, listen, the world feel like when you get to be almost 40, you feel like you've done a lot of living, right? And you just kind of have a shorter fuse for certain things. Like, I'm a real nice, understanding guy, but when someone, like, for me, customer service is everything when you go somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm tying this back to Robert Martinez, but like, customer service is everything. So I don't care if you're the chef, the janitor, the server, the host, the owner of the restaurant. Like, if I'm there with my kids and I'm spending money, or I'm there by myself, with my girlfriend, my boyfriend, or whoever, if I'm there in your establishment spending money and I'm not causing any problems and I'm asking for help, then you should be nice enough to walk over and say, hey, you know what? I'm not your server, but let me go get the person that can help you, or what do you need? I'll grab a napkin for you, or whatever. Like, hey, thanks for being here. And it was just such this rude, like, icy thing that he did. And so it just really rubbed me the wrong way. But it's so, inversely different on what we experienced at Robert. So Robert's office, we walk in there, everybody was so nice, from the receptionist to everybody that worked there. I mean, we popped in on these guys like a little bit of a tornado where, we're supposed to like have our primary meeting in their conference room, but we're going around their office and it's like the lady doing Excel sheet and the other people in their marketing meeting, and everybody was just really quick, just be like, oh, how can I help you? And here's what I do, and here's what we do here at Rockstar. Yeah, it was such an amazing experience from the beginning. Everybody just really is fantastic.
It is. It left a memorable mark. With the experience, the experience you had in the restaurant and stuff. I think it all matters. You're an ambassador to wherever you're working and stuff, and so why not give a good image of that? You know what I mean? I mean, if you're going to be there, you might as well just accept that, and that's the way you're going to proceed, because otherwise you're making a bad experience. Robert's 100%. The experience with Robert's team, and one of the things that I noticed was when we went out in the field and
to a few of the apartment buildings,
Alex was kind of leading the show, but he had such good manners. He always said yes, sir. And
little stuff. And that goes back to that Texas, hospitality.
Yeah. But it just matters, and I think we've lost our way a little bit with
some of that. Yeah,
especially in Los Angeles. Los Angeles, hustle and bustle, and do this, do that, and so that. But man, I'm telling you, if you spent a little time on being nice to each other and having manners, it changes everything.
100%, and giving good customer service to people that you're doing business with, because it is a little bit of a lost art.
Yeah.
You could even say, like, when you go to how many times do you go to like the gym or the grocery store or random places nowadays, and people don't even look at you in the eye, and they're just kind of like, whatever. And I get it. To a certain degree, people are burned out. They're working. Like, we want to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt too. But like, you just people need to understand that, like, the customer service part of it still matters. Like being a real human in those situations. And I saw the same thing with Robert's team. Like you said, we went out to his properties. I mean, so Robert, again, he owns almost 5,000 apartments out there in Houston. They took us out to 2 of their properties. I think one was like 200 units and one was like 298, something like that. I could be off on the numbers, but large apartment complexes. And it was just really cool to see how systematically they had everything just running, like really. And again, all their staff at the properties were very welcoming.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool for us to see, because if you guys do or don't know, if you're following us, like we've been working on building a multifamily portfolio ourselves, right? We started buying property in Bakersfield a couple of years back, and we built up this little portfolio where we've purchased some property in Bakersfield, we've purchased some property up in Sacramento, and we've kind of been at a little bit of a crossroads of, what do we do next to build our company and our business the right way, right? And the right way for us might be different from the right way from someone else.
Scaling.
Yeah. How do we scale our business? And so, the old Brandon would have been like full of the piss and vinegar, which I'm still full of a lot of that. But the old Brandon,
that old Brandon's gone?
No, he's still there. He's just, I gotta tame him down a little bit. No, but the old Brandon would have been like, dude, I'm not gonna pay somebody a quote unquote mentor and spend a bunch of money with somebody and travel to somebody to even do that, or go to the conference or go to the whatever, right? But I've learned over time that every time that we know this, every time that you and I have gone to a conference to seek mentorship from somebody that's already doing something we want to do at a bigger level, almost inevitably, almost every time we've done that, and we've spent money, and usually when we spend the money, we're like, damn, this guy wants what? To sit down for, a couple of days? But when we do that, we always walk away from something that has changed really the trajectory of our business.
I agree 100%. I mean, I was the same way in the past too. It's like, I don't need to know. I know everything that I need to know.
Yeah. Or I can figure it out myself.
And that changed instantly. There was a few incidences where we went to go talk to some people, and it's like you can't see what you're not looking for.
Right.
Like scaling our business now, the apartment business is. It becomes a little clearer when you talk to somebody who's actually doing it, executing on a higher level. And, Robert made a couple of suggestions, and, the guys, we all went back and talked about it, and it made sense. But it's like all of a sudden this realization is you could do it better if you do that. And, it's wise to listen to a mentor if you respect him and he's living the life that, you're looking for.
Well, and again, growing up, I was never like a big therapy person. Like I was never, again, not a big getting a mentorship or class person. I could barely get through high school. So that was about the only classes I would do, right? So once I finished that, I was like, okay. But again, over time, I valued that. I've really started valuing it. And, for me, it's like, I don't always have to agree with every single thing somebody's telling me.
Right. There's a lot of opinions out there.
Right. But sometimes it's really nice to have somebody that's removed. They're not in the weeds of what you're doing. Because even your business partners, everybody's got their agenda. Everybody's got their way they look at things. And I love having business partners. And so that's good in itself. But sometimes getting someone that's really a third-party neutral person. Like when we sat in Robert's office, and honestly, the fact that it worked out to where he was able to, here's a guy that has $600 million worth of real estate. He's running a team of, however many employees he has.
Yeah.
And just doing a lot, right? He's got his classes that he does.
Yep.
He's teaching other people on how to buy real estate. He's doing his own marketing. He's just all kinds of things, right? And he took 2 days of his time and carved out these blocks of time to sit with us one-on-one and really start thinking about how we could retool our business.
Yeah.
And, for us specifically, we started off buying these smaller properties, right? These smaller apartment buildings. And so even today, we still have our smallest property is a 5-plex, a 5-unit deal in Bakersfield, and we have a 12-unit, right? And those are our 2 smallest properties we own right now. And they're also geographically a little disjointed from really what we would consider our primary market that we want to be in, which is Sacramento. Sacramento is sort of, Bakersfield's a great place, but it's kind of a one-horse town, right? No pun intended. Yeah. When you get up to Sacramento, there's just more commerce. There's a little bit more diversity. More jobs, you got some really cool suburbs around the capital. All these things, exactly, jobs. And so, here we are. We've got a couple little properties way down in Bakersfield, and then 4 or 5 hours away up in the Sacramento area, we're starting to actually get some momentum and build kind of really a nice portfolio. And so we were explaining this to Robert, and he just looks at us very matter-of-factly and goes, first of all, why do you even own properties that small? You guys are looking at 50-unit deals where you can get into these quality properties and you can hire fantastic managers. And by the way, these properties can have swimming pools and fitness centers and all kinds of things. But you're still taking your time to manage these little properties that have 5 doors, for example. Yeah. And, our answer to him was, well, they're not that hard to manage. Right. They do make us money every month, blah, blah, blah. And he just kind of was like, yeah, but listen, if you want my opinion, sell that stuff. Because number one, geographically, you can't be in 2 places right now. You guys are too small. When you get bigger, you can spread out. But you need to pick a market and really own it. And number 2, if you're trying to buy 50-unit complexes, owning a 5-plex isn't for you. And so it wasn't really what we wanted to hear, because we weren't going to that meeting thinking, okay, we're going to leave it selling some of our portfolio. Right. But when we really started thinking about it, we went, okay, well, the 5-plex, we bought for like $260 and we could sell for $7 something. The 12-unit we bought for like $890 and we can sell for like almost $2 million. And we started going, okay, so if we sell it, we don't have to manage those properties anymore. We'll put X amount in our account pretty fast because we've actually done really well on those properties. Yeah. And we can get out of Bakersfield and we can go straight into Sacramento hard and fast and start building a real portfolio.
What Robert he didn't even hesitate. Once he heard our story, he just said sell
those properties. And we're like, really?
Robert's philosophy is, and he has, I believe it's 23 buildings.
23 buildings.
And a majority of them are clustered in Houston. And so he's trying to tell us, mimic what I'm doing. I'm clustering in Houston. That's a good market. Sacramento, we've already got 2 buildings. Cluster in an area where you can scale it. And you can have, a maintenance guy that would go around to all the properties, or 2 maintenance guys once you start building. But anyway, my point is he's clustering them in a certain area. And
by the way, let's jump into that real quick. So, and why is it important to cluster? If you're a real estate investor or building any type of business, you could be opening up ice cream shops. Why is it more important to have, say, 10 within 30 miles of each other versus one in Sacramento, one in LA, and one in Houston? Why? Because, when you start a business, a lot of times you think almost the opposite, right? Like I always have. I'm like, oh, no, it's better to have it like in these far distant markets because it's almost like you're expanding your brand and, nationally and this and that, right? But, to sort of start answering my own question, the cluster idea, it's really pretty simple, right? You really own one market, so you get to know who your customers are.
Right.
You get economies of scale. So if you're buying, let's say we're buying granite countertops because we're going to renovate a bunch of our interiors of our apartments. Well, if we have one granite supplier in Sacramento that we can make a really good deal with, and they know exactly the kind of granite we want every time we order it and how we want it cut and where we want it delivered, we can just start being a machine where that granite comes out. It's very quantifiable versus in one market, we get it from this guy. In one market, we get it from that guy. Yeah. And then, like you said, you go back to your team members. Right now we got to have some people in Bakersfield that work on our properties, and those are different from the people that work on the properties up in Sacramento. And some people are better than others, and they deliver the things differently, or they take longer or shorter amounts of time. Yeah. So if we have all our buildings in one area, now we can have, hey, here's Mike, he's the head of maintenance, and anytime that a toilet needs to get replaced, we know what Mike charges and how Mike does it, right? And so there's all these reasons, and some of those I just touched on, but all these reasons why clustering or initially growing your business, really strong foundation in one geographic area. The geographic area could be 5 miles, 30 miles, 60 minutes, but generally speaking, I would say within like 30 to 60 minutes of each other. Not like right now, we've had it 4 or 5 hours, which we thought was close because other people are buying out of state. We're like, oh, at least all our stuff's 4 or 5 hours. And Robert's going, dude, you can't have your stuff 4 or 5 hours. It's way too far apart, bro. You need to really own that Sacramento market if that's what you guys want to do. And then you can expand out later. Once we have a 500 or 1,000 doors in Sacramento, fine, let's go out to Phoenix or wherever we might go next. But let's really, and
I'm thinking, being negative Nelly a little bit.
Yeah, please.
But why?
Give us the other side.
Okay, so the ones somebody would say, a business
Negative
guy would say,
Nelly.
but diversification.
Yeah.
You're not diversified. If you're only in Houston, what
Yeah.
if a flood comes in? And my point is
Yeah.
Should you also think about or consider diversification? I mean, it's something to think about.
No.
Robert's successful, and the world's not going to end tomorrow in Houston. And actually, it's been thriving for a long time.
Well, and think about that, the same thing exactly, you're spot on, like same thing with Sacramento, right? And so, if something economically hits Sacramento, now in this case, Sacramento's the state capital, there's lots of jobs, there's lots of healthcare companies up there, tech companies. I mean, we actually even dug in more during this Houston trip when the wheels started turning on this, like, hey, is Sacramento the right place for us to focus? Yeah. But you're totally right. There's always going to be some downsides to everything. The cluster,
sure,
you are a little bit exposed. But again, I think the idea is, and it's a scary idea, but the idea is to take a step back geographically and say, let's just focus in this one area. But the value proposition there is that if we can get a really strong foothold and become one of the bigger landlords in Sacramento, by the way, here's another benefit. We deliver great results to our tenants, right? And I'm not just saying, I mean, we do. I mean, I'm biased because I'm saying it about us, but and we could pull some of our tenants, but and we have, and we've gotten great feedback from people. But everything from Greg doing his taco truck parties he does from the tenants, we're very, we don't raise the hell out of rents and not give people stuff. Like, we're always fixing amenities. Like, we do a lot for our tenants, right?
I would say really responsive.
Yeah, and I think what happens is when you're spread out geographically, that's fine. But as a small landlord, no one really knows that. And I think the idea of being in one area, we also can start to get some brand recognition where people start to go, oh, I really like to rent from BCGK because I know when I'm at one of their communities, like they've taken care of me as a tenant, right? And I think it's an opportunity for us to really show, in this case, the residents of Sacramento, that in terms of landlords, we can be one of the good guys. And I think that's kind of a cool thing.
That's one of the benefits. Yeah, there's numerous ones, but I think that's actually one of them too. Yeah, people recognize who you are.
Yeah.
And it makes things easier. Well, and talking about making things easier, I'm going back to Robert's office and, his people and his staff. Like, people want to work with people they like. You know what I mean? Like even on a larger scale, if we were in the real estate business and buying apartments, I would definitely, I would recommend Robert Martinez's group for a mentorship and his mastermind programs and stuff like that. But I would just, I would take people and I would point people in his direction because his team is so likable. And I think that goes.
Do you think that a guy like Robert would be able to have the level of success that he's had without having the right team around him?
Well, I would, he was successful, doing it himself for a number of years. So he was building that, but I don't think he could have sustained that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, when he's scaling now, he's scaling with his team.
Right.
And my God, it takes, the old cliche, it takes a village. I mean, it really does. I mean, his team is so in sync that he could bring on another property and it would just flow right into the system.
I think that was the refreshing thing for me, was being a business owner, like just being around his team and that office was those guys will take a bullet for him. Like, they really will.
Yeah.
Like, they.
Yeah. Brandon, would you take a bullet or an arrow for any of your teammates?
I might take a punch on the shoulder for you, Greg. Don't worry. No.
All right.
No, I'd take a bullet for you.
Okay, good.
Let's do it. If I go down, we're going down. Whatever, we're going down. But no, I mean, just that was really impressive to me because I've been in a lot of other settings with other companies and businesses and entrepreneurs.
Right. It felt very mechanical. A lot of offices just feel mechanical. I guess that's the best way.
So no, I think that was good. I mean, the Houston thing, it was an eye opener for us. I'm always the one in the group that's kind of our partners at BCGK here. I'm always the one that's like, hey guys, we got to go to some new event.
No,
we got to go spend a bunch of money and get somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm, it's one of the things I pride myself on, honestly. I kind of come up with crazy ideas, and I'll be the first one to admit that sometimes my ideas aren't good. But, I always kind of like to look at it from a standpoint of like, hey, we could go to Houston, spend some money, and sit down with this guy, Robert. Maybe he gives us some bad advice, but by the way, at least all the 4 of us partners get in the room together for a couple of days and we can strategize on our business. So there's some other things that come out of it. But what's the real big risk, right? Life is short. Again, we're trying to build a business. Do we want to do everything in a silo, what we think we know? So go spend some money and see what happens. Keep the expectations low and hopefully something good comes out of it. But I'm telling you, every time we do this,
something good came out of it.
Every time we go spend a little money and get around someone else that's a little bit more successful or a little bit farther ahead than us and what their craft is, something good comes out of it. And I just feel like, I know it's tough when you're getting started, and I know it's tough when you're an entrepreneur and you're starting your business or whatever it is, in terms of like having available cash to want to make those types of investments. I've been there before. I've been in those situations where I'm like, damn, I can't afford to go to this. Should I put on a credit card? Should I borrow the money from someone? And it's kind of a scary place to be sometimes. But, and I'm not saying anybody should spend their last dollar to go get mentorship necessarily. But what I am saying is it's okay sometimes to stretch a little bit. It's okay to say, hey, listen, I'm going to have a little faith, because if I get around enough of the right people, that some doors are going to get open.
Right.
And some doors are going to open in your own brain, because it's not just like Robert giving us all the answers. It's also like us being there and going, wow, we've committed to doing this. Let's get what we need to get out of it, and let's really soak in some information, see how we can use it our own way.
We got a lot out of it. I mean, and speaking to what you were talking about, the money and being able to do the different things. Yeah, you have stretched the boundaries, but it's been good because you need to get out of the comfort zone.
Do you like when I come up with an idea and stress you out? Greg, we're going to Houston next month. What?
Like I don't need any more gray hair.
Yeah.
Brandon. But no,
good,
but
Silver Fox.
Listen, one of the things that I appreciate are those ideas, because I don't say no anymore. I say, let's go. Because, you find different pieces about yourself, what you can do differently. And those are the only times you start, really finding yourself, is when you're, uncomfortable, I guess. But what I was going to say also is the Robert thing, he reminded me that you have to have good culture, good vibes around you, and that's what I'm hoping for our little company
as we grow.
Is to treat everybody with respect and create a good vibe for everybody that you encounter.
And have fun, right?
Yeah. You have to.
If you're not having fun, of course, there's going to be serious meetings. There's going to be days you're getting, beat up on something. But, yeah, we got to have fun, man.
You have to.
If you're not having fun at the office,
then what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, life is hard every day for everybody. But, you got to smile a little bit, because that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah, no, you said it well. So now we're back from Houston. So we've changed a couple of things on the business front. We've listed 2 of our properties in Bakersfield. It looks like, knock on wood, we're actually opening escrow on a new 50-unit deal. I got to keep the details a little bit under wrap until we do the legal side of things, because the attorneys are always like, Brandon, don't go publicly advertising deals until we're ready. Okay, so I won't say too much specifically about the deal, but it does look like we're opening up a new escrow on a 50-unit up in Sacramento area. So we're pretty excited about that. Yeah. We're one step closer to building that portfolio up there we want to do. But it's going to be a little crazy, because if you guys know, anytime you open an escrow on a piece of real estate, whether it's a house, a condo, in this case, a big apartment complex, there's a lot to do.
The fun starts happening.
You got to get your legal in order, all your financing, your inspections. Yep. We're going to have to fly up there and stay there for 4 or 5 days. There's going to be a lot to do. So it's a little stressful. But it's the right time for it, because we want to stress ourselves out, frankly, and get some more deals done and make some things happen before the holidays. Yeah. So hopefully we can kind of enjoy.
It's a good thing.
But we've got a lot going on. Right? So we're buying that. We're selling 2 properties. We're shooting episodes for the podcast. We've got 2 flips that we're doing right now, which was super random because we don't really flip houses anymore. For the most part, everything we do is buying apartments. Yeah. That's our passion.
And Brandon, we're running a real estate company too.
We're running a real estate company. Yeah, we are real estate brokers. And just a lot going on. And it kind of goes, I forget who said it. It might have been, I think it was Simon Polito who came on the show.
You're quoting Simon. Let me hear this.
Well, he said something about the fact that, like, the more he puts on his plate, like, the better he handles it all. Like, he feels better when he's a little, like, he knows he's about to run off the rails. He's got so much going on. I'm kind of the same way. And I think that's for us, too. It's like, because people keep asking me the same thing, like, how are you podcasting and flipping houses and buying apartments and running your business, and you got some construction projects, and you're a real estate broker and all these things, and you got 2 kids and 1 on the way, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, dude, I don't know. The more I do, the more that gets done. Don't be wrong. Some stuff slips through the cracks, and we got great people around us. We got people like Corey, who, we got to give Corey a shout out, by the way, because if
hey,
Corey, let's go. No, because seriously, Corey, when we first started doing the podcasting, I told you my whole thing was like I'd have to go find somewhere to rent to shoot, hopefully get a guest on, take 3 or 4 weeks to maybe edit the damn thing, go on Fiverr and find somebody, because it was always different people because I wasn't really pleased with the editing. And then it was all this back-end production. I wasn't getting it on Spotify. It wasn't on anywhere else that our podcasts are now hitting. Like, this whole thing was just madness. And like, you just kind of came into our life, bro, and I appreciate that. Like this whole thing just kind of happened serendipitously, and it was like, I think you felt maybe my stress level and a little bit of my craziness. And you're just like, I can do that.
He's still feeling
it. Like,
yeah,
but you're like, I can do that for you, and I'm like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
Where has Corey been all my life?
Corey, yeah.
So big shout out to
Yeah.
you, bro. And honestly, anyone else that's in LA or wherever else you might want to work with Corey, but you guys should definitely. I mean, as far as Corey, I don't know if you work with people in other locations. Do you?
Oh yeah, I'm around.
Okay. Okay. I know if they're in LA, but they can call you because you do what? You do editing.
If you want to fly me to the Bahamas to shoot a podcast, I will go.
He'll go.
So really quick, just on that note. So Corey, obviously you can do all the physical production of it,
Yep.
the editing,
Yep.
the promotion, the marketing.
Yep.
I mean, you pretty much do it all.
Pretty much.
You're our podcast producer, and you're doing this.
I'm your one-stop shop.
And you're doing
podcast
this right
guy.
now for yourself because you've got a podcast.
Yeah.
By the way, what's the name of your podcast?
Mine is Late Nights with Oko and Coco.
Ooh, you guys check it out. It's a great podcast, by the way.
It's raunchy,
I
it's
love
funny.
seeing those.
It's raunchy.
It's raunchy.
Yeah.
We got to look
It's
at
not
it,
for
Corey.
kids.
Yeah, so Corey's got that, and he's doing this for a bunch of other clients.
Yeah.
He's an artist. He's doing all kinds of things. But
one more thing, Brandon. Corey is very philosophical. Before Brandon showed up this morning, Corey and I were talking about life, and he's very.
I love that, man.
Yeah, so you got a
Corey's
guy
a good
that
dude, man. He's a deep thinker. He's not just a
he
superficial
is.
dude.
He went to Albany University. He said he was a valedictorian. Like this kid, Corey is a smart kid.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm not surprised to hear that, even though I'm just learning that for the first time, because
Yeah.
I know from connecting with Corey what the kind of guy he is, and
Yeah.
like I said, man, I appreciate everything you've done for us. Like with this, what we're doing on growing our brand and doing this podcasting and all this stuff, it would not be possible without you. So,
And this is just the beginning. It's going to be really, really cool.
dude, we're gonna blow
I'm
this
very
thing up.
excited.
Where are we
man.
going?
We're gonna blow it up.
Well, listen, let's go.
Right.
Yeah, we're gonna make this thing big. So,
I've got a couple questions too.
Yeah, please.
Oh,
From just like what we
from the audience?
from the audience from the audience
Can we get a live
perspective.
audience at some point? By the way, some guys clapping or something like the Ed McMahon show.
Or just like questions that like crossed my mind.
Yeah.
So we were talking about expanding the team and how and we were talking about that earlier,
Yeah.
Greg. What is the next person that you're looking for on your team?
well, okay. So there's
Are we hiring? By the way, are we hiring right now? I think we are hiring.
There's
We're-
a couple of teams, and if you're talking about the apartment business,
Yes. Oh, tell us about the teams.
We actually have somebody that and Brandon could talk about it. We actually are hiring a new person. Her name is Dominique. You have to ask yourself, what is the one person you can hire that kind of starts making everything easier? And I think that this Dominique was one person that could make our lives easier for the apartment business because we have to get out there. We have to get known.
And what does she do? What does Dominique do?
Yeah, so she's going to be a brand ambassador for the company. So it was funny. We met her at an event in San Diego, and we were, again, sort of serendipitously, it just kind of happened. And we were very impressed with her. And, I kept thinking about it. I'm like, man, we got to get to more of these events because, again, there's only so much time, right? And I'm like, we need somebody that can go to different events on behalf of our company and really promote our brand, tee up opportunities, whether that's people to come on the podcast, whether that's people we can do some business with on the real estate front, investors in our apartment buildings. And so it was super random. She wasn't looking for a job, and I didn't even know we were going to hire her. And I reached out to her, and again, one of my crazy ideas, and I was like, hey, would you consider like something if we can make a monthly deal, being an independent contractor, but come over and start representing us at these events. You obviously are doing them. And she was super stoked, and she just came on board this week, and now we're actually planning some things, and a lot of things are happening. But it's just funny how like things happen like that. And I think you got to be ready to capitalize when you meet good people and like say, hey, can we do this?
That's the thing is like good people. So if we were talking about the real estate company, we're looking for good sales people who have the same type of energy that Brandon, and that's not easy to find all the time. So yeah, we're looking for people.
Yeah,
Corey.
to go back, Corey, to what, specifically, I think we're hiring like a part-time marketing person in the office right now. So we're looking for that. We've got some resumes that are starting to come in. We're looking for some property management people up in Sacramento for our new, property we'll be buying. And on our real estate brokerage side, we're always looking for lean and mean, hungry realtors that want to come. I don't mean physically lean and mean. They can be lean and mean physically. That's cool. But I mean like killers.
They can be round and pudgy.
Yeah, they
fine.
can be round. They can be round and mean too. I just mean like, stone cold killers that want to come over like in the LA area and take care of clients and sell real estate. Like, of course, we're always looking to grow the team from
once
that
those
standpoint.
people start coming into your world and they're right for you and everything, like you said, the world is your oyster. You can just go for it. Because I think that's what Robert has, going back to Robert Martinez's office, they can just go for it, Corey.
Yeah.
Like this, they were so well connected and the synergy and stuff. So anyways, it's total plus if you get the right people.
Another question from the audience. What is the hardest part about buying a property?
Ooh. I would say, well, it comes down to two things. One, finding it. And not that you can't find properties, but making sure it's really a good one to buy.
Like the location or like the actual physical property?
Yeah,
numbers,
like
Corey,
the location and making sure if it's an investment property, the numbers work.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people will buy things and they think they're going to flip it for a profit and they really can't do what they think they're going to do, or they think they're going to be able to, if it's an apartment building, rent it out for a certain number and make certain profits, and they were wrong on their estimates. So you got to know your numbers.
Yeah, one other thing too, Brandon, is and this is one thing when you go in to look for a property, and this is, I think Grant Cardone said this. He says, when you roll up to a property, you've got to also see what another buyer, when you're ready to sell this thing, what another buyer would sell, would look at and see. Does he see the same thing you see? You know what I mean? So it's got to be there's something, there has to be the attractiveness has to be there.
In other words, back to your question, you can't change the location of a property, right? And so the location around you can kind of change over time, but where it's located is where it's located, right? Unless you're buying a trailer that you can pop on some wheels. But for the most part, it's staying where it is. And so making sure that it's a good location where you see in the future that more residents are going to want to live there. More commerce is going to come into the area. It's not an area that's going away anytime soon kind of thing. So, number one, I would say you got to find the deal. But number two, you got to find the money. And so for a lot of people starting out, they're like, man, I mean, this sounds cool, but like, how do I go out and buy these investment properties or grow a portfolio when I only have so much of my own money? And the real answer is, if you're like most people, you'll get into a place where even if you can kind of bankroll it yourself with the available money you have, you're going to have to find good people around you, whether it's your brother, your partner, your, some clients of yours that you pitch on, hey, this idea, I'm going to buy this property, and would you like to do it with me? But you're going to have to find some people, because there'll become a time quickly where you'll run out of money, and if you're serious about building a portfolio, and you'll have to bring some other people to the table.
Yeah, I think you're right. Number one, finding a good location, and number two, it's getting the money. That's the one piece that would make everything else easier too. And again,
by the way, I don't think we've ever had the money, or certainly all the money, to buy any of the properties we've ever bought.
Right.
And we own $12 million of real estate today, maybe a little bit more. So, and when we're looking to buy this one for $8 million, so we'll have 20 at the end. Yeah. So, and by the way, we don't have the money to buy the $8 million deal right now.
50 units is $8 million.
$8 million bucks.
$8 million.
Yeah.
That seems...
It's a good price, right?
That seems pretty reasonable.
Thank you. Hey, welcome to Sacramento. Welcome to Sacramento.
One house in LA is $1 million.
100%. So that goes back
true.
to the location. That's why we buy in these areas like that. We love to live in LA, but it makes a lot more sense
the numbers work in
to
Los
go somewhere
Angeles.
up there where we can buy this property. And look how many doors. It basically comes out to about $160,000, $158,000 a door. And a per unit, and that's, I mean, you can't get that anywhere down here. On apartment buildings, $300,000-$400,000 a unit, something like that. So, yeah, pretty cool.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I got a bunch. What's the hardest part about buying a property? Now, what's the hardest part about being a landlord?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question. I would say if you're doing it yourself, the hardest part is probably, leasing can be kind of tough sometimes. But I would say the hardest part might be like making sure that the properties are running smoothly every month.
Yeah.
Just in the sense that, like, depending on how old they are and where they are, you could have a lot of like little maintenance things. And maintenance things could be like, okay, yeah, fine. A toilet goes out in the middle of the night and you're going to get a call and you got to send someone over for $200. Or it could be something where a pipe bursts and you get a quote for $8,000 and you're like, I just bought this and someone's asking me to pay $8,000 and you got a crying baby in the background and no one knows what to do. So you got to be able to like be cool under pressure a little bit, and also remember it's someone's home, and so you got to be very like, you got to be, what's the word I'm looking for? You
respectful.
Well, yeah, you gotta understand.
Care.
What's that?
Take some care.
take some care. You got to understand that, like, you're not, it might be an investment to you, but it's someone's home. And so if they're calling in the middle of the night and a pipe bursts, like, you got to really like take care of that and take care of it quickly. Cause a lot of things that happen, you can't really just wait a week to send somebody over there. So you got to be, responsive
and understanding. Yeah. This is a business, but that's their home. That's a good one, Brandon. That's their home.
If you get the pipe that bursts and someone wants $8,000, you might have to get a second or third opinion, but you got to do it quickly, and you might have to send them to a hotel while you figure it out. And so we've had to send tenants to hotels at certain times, and so it's this whole you got to be quick.
If you're doing it by yourself, I would say that's the big one is maintaining that property, maintaining tenant happiness, and the property is running, and there could be lots of problems there, but Robert Martinez has a team on each property. There's like 3 or 4 people, I think, on each property. So you're working with a group of people, and it helps diffuse some of the problems. Everybody can handle.
By the way, even just being a landlord for the last 3 or 4 years, we've had people die in our units. I mean, natural causes, but these were people that passed away.
That is crazy.
Really, really crazy. Yeah. And by the way, people we knew too. So it was actually really really sad. Like, these are people we had talked to. I used to see them when I would go to the property. One guy had an alcohol problem and actually passed away because of that. Another guy was like old age. So we've actually had that happen. We've had people,
and then that's calling like morgues and mortuary. You're doing that?
Well, yeah, we had to report it,
Girl.
and then we had a couple of our buildings actually cars ran into them, and it was just crazy. Luckily, no one got hurt, but it was like one was a drive-by, like someone was drunk and like drove into the side of our building. Another one was like an older gentleman that just, hey, he messed up. He thought it was the brake and he hit the gas, and he was parking behind our building and just like went right into the other person's bedroom. And so this person's like sitting there and like, oh, here comes Frank barreling in his Buick into my room. Okay, hi. So we've had those things pop up, like just random stuff. And I'm going to knock on some wood, but there's always little surprises when you're a landlord. We're like, whoa, that was a new one.
I would say that's another one too. All the surprises, you're going to hear them. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. That's like there's a book in there. Just like
Yeah.
stories from tenants.
Surprises from tenants.
Exactly.
So there's some lucid and landlords. I don't know. There's some fun way to say that. And okay, so how long has BCGK been around?
We started BCGK in 2020, so about 4 years.
And how long did it take for it to become profitable?
That's a great question. I mean, our properties were always profitable, but we were just putting the profits back in.
Yeah.
So probably 2.5, 3 years to really start seeing bigger money that we can now say, hey, we can either start paying ourselves some of that, or, which we continue to do, pump money back into the business on marketing and going to these conferences and growing. So we've always been put it back in, but I would say, probably about 2.5, 3 years it started really becoming profitable.
It's going to get better and better as you acquire more units.
By the time Greg retires, it'll get really profitable, and so then we'll
which could be sooner than later.
No, Greg's not going to retire. He's going to stick around for a while.
Yeah. I love what I do, so and I love the people around me. So
that's important.
Yeah, that's really important. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
definitely.
Man,
great questions.
Appreciate all those questions, man. I mean, I love the episodes like this. I mean, we have such a good time with this podcast, and we really enjoy everybody that comes on it because it's really interesting. It's an opportunity to not only have them tell their story and introduce it to the audience, but a lot of these people we already kind of know or have done some business with.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, I learn so many new things every time they come on. It's
time.
like, take Simon, for example. We've known Simon forever. Yeah. He comes on, it's all these things I never knew about him, even after hanging out and going to dinner. And
some I wish I didn't know, but anyways.
Yeah, right? But that's the thing, right? And so I have such a good time with that. But I guess the other side of the coin is, this is cool too. Getting a chance for you and I to tell a little bit of our story, engage with Corey, answer some questions for you guys.
Yeah, it's like a free form. I like this style because we can talk about different things.
Hopefully you guys are enjoying that, hopefully you guys enjoy the different types of episodes there. But this is really cool. I like doing this.
I like it a lot. Yep. Well,
we'll keep this question segment in here. I like this.
I do
too.
Yeah,
I think we're onto something.
Yeah. Really.
So anyway, listen, we're gonna finish today on a high note, and appreciate everybody checking out the show. Greg, you got any parting words for us? Any words of wisdom?
Just keep it going, guys. Don't ever give up.
Don't stop. Let's go. Keep the momentum. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Boom.